It's another interesting tutorial again today, and you're highly welcome back to my channel. My name is Merci and this is Merci Posh Stitches. If you are coming across my channel for the first time, you are welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, I really appreciate the fact that you came back. So every week on this channel I upload tutorials, DIYs, beginner friendly tutorials that help you to learn new trends and new fashion styles. Okay, so this top you're seeing here is what we're going to be learning how to make today, and is a top with cape. It has exaggerated hem, and I made this for a 13-year-old uh, girl, and I also made a wide leg palazzo pants to pair it with. Okay, so this is going to be a top tutorial, and if you stay tuned to the end of this tutorial, you're going to see how I made this, and no pattern is required. I made it directly on my main fabric. Okay, so I want you to watch this tutorial to the end, and trust me, you're going to be able to replicate this, and it's going to be even more better and prettier than mine. Okay, so it has belt and it has another style in the front, as you can see, and you also learn how to make this cape. And remember, it's also a princess blouse, a princess that blouse, and I also sew it with inseam finishing. I sew it neatly that the back is looking as pretty and neat as the front. Okay, so without much ado, this is the fabric I am using, which is the main fabric you saw, and I folded it into two. Okay, so what I'm going to do is to measure and mark the blouse length, and I'm using about 24 inches for my blouse length, and that includes 1 inch hemming allowance. So her blouse length was 23 inches, and I made it 24 so that I can have 1 inch hemming allowance. So I measured from the shoulder, which is the starting line, 7 inches. Then her nipple point is 9 inches, and I also measured her under bust. Okay, remember her nipple point is her bust point, right? Then I measured her under bust, and I measured her waist line as well. So there are these lines that you see me ruling here, and as it's also my custom, I am going to label the lines so that we know what each line represents. So I label shoulder, sorry, chest line, bust point, under bust point, waistline, and here becomes the length of my blouse. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is to start working on it immediately. Okay, so remember I said is a princess that's blouse with exaggerated hem. Okay, so I want you to do me a favor by staying tuned and watching this tutorial to the end. So I measure 7 inches, which is her shoulder to shoulder divided by 2, and I connected into a straight line. Okay, so I actually use about 4 inches and African print fabric for this. Okay, and I slope her shoulder by 1 inch, half an inch, sorry. I use her shoulder slope of half an inch for her. Okay, so her neck depth I use 2.75. So I divided what I have on the shoulder, and I came in by just quarter of an inch. Okay, so I will proceed to connect the armhole, but before I do that, I will mark her bust point, that is her bust circumference, divided by 4. That is what I mark here, and I'll go on and connect. Okay, so after connecting, this is what I have, and the next thing I'm going to do is to mark her dart. So her dart is 3 inches. Okay, her dart is 3 inches, and I added about quarter an inch into it. Sorry, half of an inch into it, so making it 3.5. This is because I want to use that half inch to join it. Okay, since we are cutting directly on our main fabric. So that is what I did, and the next thing I'm going to do is to measure her dart of 1 inch on the side and half inch on the center. But on the second thought, after marking it, I decided to use half inch. So as I was connecting, I connected half inch instead of 1 inch and half inch. So please, if you're making use of it, just use half inch on both sides from the under bust down. Okay, so I am going to take from the bust point line, I will connect to the under bust like this, as you can see. So remember I said I used half inch on both sides of the waist dart instead of 1 inch and half inch. Okay, so I proceeded to place it this way and connect with my ruler to the center of the armhole, that is the mid armhole. Okay, so this is what I have, and that is it for the darts. You see the way I connected it, because it's just a normal princess dart. And I went on to mark her round bust circumference divided by 4 and her round under bust circumference divided by 4 and mark it. Then her waist circumference divided by 4, I also proceeded to mark it. Then I measure the darts I have there and I replace it, then connected this way. Now on the hem here, I am measuring her hip circumference divided by 4. Okay, so I will mark it, then I also measure the darts that I have, okay, which is just 1 inch, and I proceeded to connect it. So I will just connect like this. Okay, so this is what I have, and since I am working on my main fabric, I will add extra 3 inches to the hip side of the allowance. This is because I want it to have exaggerated hem. Okay, that is a kind of conical effect. Then on the waist under bust point, I used only 2 inches for my ease allowance. Do you understand? So you see the way I connected it. So now I'm going up about 1.5 inches. Okay, I'm going up about 1.5 inches and I'm connecting. Okay, so I want it to give me that kind of exaggerated shape or conical shape around the hem. Okay, so that is why I went up up half, 1.5 an inch, and also gave the allowance of 3 inches on this hip line of the blouse. Okay, so that is what I did here, and you can see the shape it has here, right? Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do now is to get my neck depth. I'm working with neck depth of 2.5 inches. So that is what I marked and I connected like this. Okay, so I was done doing that, and what I'm going to do now is to pick up my scissors and I'm going to cut out. Okay, so I went on to cut out, and as you can see, this is what I have. It's looking very perfect and pretty already. So now I will fold another fabric and we're going to cut the back. So I folded in another fabric and I place the front on it. Okay, now I also mark 1.5 inches here for my zipper allowance. Okay, so I am just going to be working on the zipper allowance, then I will trace the rest of the bodice. Okay, I'm using the same princess dart for the back dart. Okay, so here I came in 1/2 and mark it out like this on the down and also on the up to eliminate any possible zipper bulge. Then the neckline for the front is exactly the neckline I am using for the back. So that's the reason why I'm just tracing the neckline. I'm not using a different neckline for the back. So on the armhole line, remember when we're cutting the front, we came in by quarter of an inch. So for the back neck armhole line, we don't need that. So that is why I replaced back that quarter of an inch for the back armhole line, and I proceeded to cut out. So please, your comment is very important. It helped me know if there's any area I need to make adjustment. And it also helped me know that my audience are benefiting from my tutorials or not. Okay, so please try if you can and drop a comment. If it's a question, go ahead and ask it, and I'll be glad to attend to that on the comment section. And if there's anything you want me to make adjustments, I am going to be very humble enough to work on that, trust me. Okay, so I was done cutting the back as well, and I removed the front part, and this is it. Okay, so you can see the side back with the side front, they are almost the same except the difference in the armhole. So it's very important you indicate which one is the front and the back. So I cut out my lining piece for all of them, all the back and the side and the front as well. Now what I'm going to do now is to set aside the lining piece. Okay, I'll set aside the lining piece, and I'm going to measuring our cape. Remember, it has cape that run from the back to the front. Okay, so I'm going to be measuring from the shoulder, and the first thing I'm going to do is to measure 2 inches away from the neckline into the shoulder. Okay, then I marked around just very close to the waistline, just before the waistline, and I divided and I multiply it into 2. So you're going to measure from your shoulder to the waist, then multiply into 2, because you'll be cutting out the front waist and the back waist all together. So that is what I have, and I marked 10 inches. I folded another fabric into 2 and marked 10 inches. That's what I'm marking. I'm cutting this cape with free hand, okay, because I'm trying to manage this fabric, and again I don't want to cut it on paper, so I'm cutting it on freehand. There are different ways to cut this cape, so the method I'm using is method that is very easy for me. Okay, so I went on to mark another another 10 inches straight. Then on it I just made 2 inches, 1.5, then 1 inch, and curve it like this. Okay, so they are measuring the wideness of the cape, which is about 6 inches with the allowance. That is 6 inches with the allowance. Okay, so now I am placing my ruler like this in a curved way, my tape I mean, and I marked out my line, which is about that 14 inches that I measured from front shoulder to around the waist. Okay, and I also added allowance to it because I want it to have a pleat around the shoulder line, and I'm going to connect. Okay, so I'm just making a curve around here that look exactly like the cape I am working with. So this is the freehand and the easiest way I cut it using freehand. So I went on to measure it again to ensure that it gave me exactly what I have plus the allowance to pleat it around the shoulder. So take a good look at this curve, follow this process if you are using freehand and the easiest method. So this my freehand method is the easiest method. So if you want to shorten it, you just shorten it in this front curve side the way I just did, if you feel it's too long for what you are looking for. Okay, so now you're going to ensure that the wideness is what you want, and also remember to add joining allowance. So I proceeded to cut out, and remember we need 2 of it for right side and the left side. So this is how it's going to look like, and I'm going to make a pleat around the shoulder. You can see this is how it's going to look like. So I went on to cut out the second part, and this is what I have. So I'll go on and cut lining piece for it, and I will turn it. Okay, so this is my best and easiest method because it's just very easy for me. But if you have another method that is easy for you other than this, you can use that. Okay, so on the center front I am going to sew a kind of a lacing rope to it. So I made a rope which has the wideness half inch wide and 3 inches long. So I just made the rope and I cut 3 inches, 3 inches long, and that is what I have here. So what I did is that I measured and marked just half of an inch above the underbust line. That is, when you measure the underbust line, you mark half of an inch up the underbust line. That is, you go up by half of an inch from the underbust line. Then from there you measure 6 inches below. That is what I did. this is half inch above the under bust line. Then I now measure 6 inch below, and that 6 inch I divided it into 6. That is 1 inch interval, 1 inch. So that is what I mark here. You see, as I mark 1 inch, I have 6 lines that I mark here. So it's on this 6 line that I'm going to be running my lacing rope to it. So I am going to be placing it like this, then bring it like this. So this was how I placed it initially, but when I now sew it, I gave a different, that interval of half inch. I didn't want the one leg of the rope to stay on top of the other leg. As you can see, the way I'm placing it now was the initial plan, but I observed that it's going to be too close, so I later made it a kind of as in I gave it a distance more than this. Okay, so don't worry, when I finish sewing it, I am going to show you what I'm trying to explain. Okay, you see the difference between how I'm placing it and how I later sew it. Okay, so I'll go to my machine and I'll sew it. I'll bring it back for you to see what I have. So you see the way I sew it now. I have about half of an inch interval. That is what I was trying to explain. You see this midpoint here, I gave it half of an inch interval so that it will give the lacing a kind of a different look. And after which I joined the two sides of the front. Okay, I joined the two sides of the front, and I joined the lining separately as well. So what I'm going to do now is to join the back as well, and that is what I did. So this is the back. I joined the center with the side on both side. Okay, I also joined the front shoulder and the back shoulder. So this process is what I'm repeating on my lining piece as well. Just the way you see me joining the main fabric here, that is the same way I am joining the lining piece, because I want to use inseam to finish it up. So I went on to turn my cape with my lining piece, as you can see. So remember, when you're cutting your lining piece, you make it shorter by 1 inch so that you to be able to turn the hemline of the cape properly. The same applied to the main blouse when you, or top when you are cutting the lining for it. So I'm measuring from my shoulder to just 1 inch before the waistline. That is exactly where I placed this cape. Okay, I sewed it around 1 inch before the waistline, that is before the half length. So I measured from my shoulder, then down 1 inch before the half length. That is where I mark, and that is where I am going to be placing it. Okay, so that is this line you're seeing here. Then I will repeat the same process on the back part. I will measure from my back shoulder to 1 inch before my back waist, that is back half length, and I mark. So I'm going to pick one cape. I'll place it like this, right side facing right side like this, just very close to the dot line. Okay, just very close to the dot line. So by the time you are done sewing it, the dot line should not be showing on the center back. It should be seen around the side. So from the neckline, I measured 2 inches, which was the initial measurement, 2 inches away from the neckline. So I'm going to make a pleat around here. Then I'll place this like this, exactly on that half length. I will now sew. Then getting to the shoulder, I made a pleat. So that is what I went on to do, as you can see. So you see, this is the allowance, and you can see the half length for the back, how I also placed it, and I went on to sew it. Trust me, as I made this style, I really fell in love with it. Like, it's so beautiful. So I told you that I joined the lining separately, exactly the way I joined the main fabric, right? So now I am going to be placing the lining on the main fabric, right side of the lining facing the right side of the main fabric. So remember, please, when you join, to open iron your seam. So I'll place it like this, and I'm going to first turn the neckline and the sides. So that is what I did. I went on to turn the neckline all round. Then I turn the armhole. Remember, the cape is also serving as cape and as sleeve, so that is why I need to turn the armhole neatly. So I turn the armhole of both the front and the back with my lining piece. All right, so that is what I did. So pardon me, I didn't turn the side of my main fabric with my lining piece because I am using inseam. So this implies that I'm going to pin on the armhole. I will pin the lining piece and the main fabric on the armhole. Okay, so remember, at this point I have the right side of the front side, right side of the front with the right side of the left. So what I'm going to do now is to pick up my tape and I'm going to join. So I'm going to join the bodice now. So I am marking my zipper allowance away because this is the center back. From that zipper, after marking my zipper allowance, I'll measure my bust circumference divided by 2. When you are joining, is actually divided by 2, but I am measuring this from one side of the back, so it still remains divided by 4. So I am marking it my bust circumference divided by 4 or divided by 2, depending on where you are placing your tape to measure. If you are placing your tape from one side to the other side, it should be divided by 2. But if you are placing your tape on the center back to one side, it should be divided by 4. So I'll go on and join. I'll repeat the same process on the lining piece. So that is what I did. I went on to join and also turn the down side. I also closed the zipper allowance and attach a belt to it. So I believe we all know how to cut belt and attach it. Is not difficult, but if you find it difficult, watch any of my tutorial on kid dresses and you are good to go. So I left only small opening here to turn everything inside out. So what I'm going to do now is to take this to my machine and I'll just stitch it down, or I'll just put a small hemming gum there and press it uh, down. Okay, so as you can see, this is what I have. So what I'm going to do now is to attach my zipper. Remember, I also hemmed it down like I mentioned earlier. So I'm going to attach my zipper to it and I'll show you what we have. Okay, so I was done attaching my zipper and this is what we have. I attach a beautiful invisible zipper to it. So another thing I made is a beautiful blue rope. This is a lacing rope. Okay, so the rope is just half of an inch. After sewing, you should have half of an inch to it, and I am going to proceed to using it to lace this lacing bar. Okay, so I am going to lace it at the front for you to see the beauty. So where I got my inspiration, it was actually laced at the back. But I love trying new things, honestly. I love trying new things. So I decided to sew the lacing at the front instead of at the back, and trust me, I loved it at the end of everything. Okay, so I'll go on and lace it and I'll show you what we have. So if you have been watching this tutorial and you have not subscribed to my channel, go ahead and subscribe to my channel because all my videos are very interesting and I always try my best to explain it very well. So I'm going to tie my belt beautifully like a bow tie at the back, and you see the good look of this blouse. So you know, December is coming. This is season where we make a lot of kid dresses, so you have every reason to watch this tutorial because you never knew what kind of dresses you might make. So this is the beautiful outcome. So please, if you find this tutorial helpful, go on and drop a comment for me, like this video, share it to people you think will need it. Remember, when you drop comments, engage, share, like, you are helping this video to get to other people. Please do not enjoy alone. Sharing makes us happy. So when you give people opportunity to have access to this video, it is another form of giving. So please comment so that this video will be pushed to more people, and like it and share it so that others will enjoy this by means of your effort as well. Thank you so much for watching. This is the beautiful outcome. I want to see you some other time when I drop another tutorial like this. So this is the inside and it is neatly finished. Thank you. Bye.